G'day guys and welcome to 39 Games. I'm 39Gamer39, here to talk about my second mod ever created, and it's one of my most popular ones. What started off as a Jumpscare map that turned into a story-driven series, it is called Servant's Night. There's two versions to this, there's the original and the anniversary edition. Let's start with the original, shall we? This goes back to 2012, not long after I released the original version of Mutant Crisis. Right after I released Mutant Crisis, my brother had introduced me to what could be the best horror game of all time, Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I shat myself multiple times, but I pulled through and finished the game. It was the best horror game I ever played in my life. The curious George that I was, I began digging through the game's files and content, only to find a custom stories folder. I proceeded to Google what it was. I found out it was entirely mod related. So I downloaded the most popular ones, and some of them scared me further than the original Amnesia did. I was having so much fun that I wanted to make my own. So I searched up the HPL2 modding kit for Amnesia and went from there. HPL2 is the name of the engine that Amnesia: The Dark Descent runs on. The HPL2 suite, which is basically a modding kit which contains a map editor, a map view, entity editors and model editors and stuff like that. It was released for users to be able to create their own custom content for Amnesia. I ended up using a template to help me get started because I knew fuck all in the beginning about HPL2. The first time I launched the map editor, I was so confused. A bunch of grey screens with a grid plane on the bottom, like, defer, dude. So I went ahead and opened an Amnesia map. It took a good 5 minutes figuring out how the camera works, but I got partially used to it. You see, I was used to the style of CryEngine, which is what you see is what you play. You know, you're able to use the move keys, be able to move the camera. It was just more simple. After partially figuring out how to use the camera, I went ahead and made a new map. Picked up on placing objects easily and some other things, and here is my first creation. At first testing, I had no idea why stuff wasn't happening. I researched how to do events and stuff like that, and I learned that you had to make the map, place the specific scripts down with proper names, and you script all the events. It was all so different compared to CryEngine, and I was overwhelmed a bit, but I remember making my first code, spawning a grunt. After that, I do remember making the page for Servant's Night on ModDDB, uploading these screenshots. I did notice a few people taking notice of Servant's Night, maybe because Amnesia was a very popular game at the time, and still is to this day, I believe. People were keen for it to come out. I was baffled. I never had anyone interested in my project, egging me on to finish it. I did end up making a short demo for players, which I released in July 2012. I believe that was the date, but it only had 2 levels. From there on out, development had come to a halt. This is where I pretty much developed my completion anxiety. I began work on a sequel for Mutant Crisis, and crafted 3 more mod ideas. All those projects are waiting to be finished to this day. My completion anxiety is a real bitch. So I didn't work on Servant's Night for a while. With those followers rising and more eager players asking where it is, I returned to development in December 2012. I did not stop. Every day I was adding something new to each of the 5 maps. What kept me busy was the final map, based outside, and as I was making it, it was very difficult. I finished it and released it on January 28th, 2013. People began posting gameplays of it to YouTube. Again, I was baffled. It was actually gaining publicity. I just loved it. People enjoyed it and some didn't. There were mixed reviews, but most of them good. Some people thought it was too short, predictable, too many scares, it's very cheesy. That's fair. I mean, I look back on it and I think, yes, it's old but gold. It was my first custom story. I had barely any knowledge of HPL2. It was just the beginning. I actually got very hyped up in making a sequel, and that's what I did in under 2 months. That was the first and last time that I follow a deadline I placed for myself, or at least one that was so fucking close. I set a date for March 7th. I believe I began work on the original sequel early February. Not long after, I released the first, Servant's Night. Servant's Night 2 was a failure. I ended up taking it down. So that is everything about the original Servant's Night. A lot of people enjoyed it. It was my first whack at horror despite it being just a jump scare map. I had made an accomplishment. So let's move on to the remake, Servant's Night Anniversary. So I made Servant's Night Anniversary in honour of the original's 1 year anniversary. It was still like one of the top custom stories to that day. My most popular mod at the time, it deserved a remake. I also was releasing Anniversary to improve the mapping, scares and events, and most importantly, to add a storyline so it would tie in with Servant's Night 2 and its prequel. So I actually spent under a month making this, non-stop work for almost a month. I released it on January 28th, 2014, 1 year after the original. It wasn't played as much as the original, nor was it as popular, but users seemed to think that it was better, which was what I was going for. I certainly believe that it's better than the original myself. And that's pretty much it about the remake. I mean, it was more of a success compared to the original, which I am proud of, and it's paved the way for sequels and whatnot. Servant's Night became its own universe. I have crafted a whole timeline of events which are going to be explained in the re-release of Servant's Night 2 and the prequel Solving Unanswered Questions, Servant's Night Origins. At first, it was just a test of what I could do in a different editor. Yet, it has become one of my most loved projects personally, because I have created a lore for it. It has spawned into something a lot bigger than its original self. Man, it's just amazing. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, guys. If you did, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, share the video around, and be sure to check out my main channel also. My next video will be about my very own take on a Pokemon game. Cheers, have a great day.